We are building this for future generations. We are building it together. To strengthen our sovereignty, we are fighting for Russia's present and future. Our practical efforts aim at improving people's well-being, ensure that Russia is strong today and will remain strong in the future. Our ideas must continue to provide a truly constructive response to today's challenges. We are building this for future generations. We are building it together. To strengthen our sovereignty, we are fighting for Russia's present and future. Our practical efforts, aimed at improving people's well-being, ensure that Russia is strong today and will remain strong in the future. Everyone's contribution is vital to our shared victory and to the country's successful and confident development. People, Russian families, their hopes and aspirations must be at the heart of all our programs, initiatives, and decisions. The ACI, the Agency for Strategic Initiatives, team consistently upholds this fundamental principle, promoting it both at the federal level and across the regions of the Russian Federation. Your ideas and projects help create new drivers of growth for individual sectors, entire regions, and federal subjects. They also help build mutually beneficial partnerships with other countries, which are showing growing interest in our best practices and the finest domestic expertise. I looked through the materials before entering this hall. Proposals have been received not only from across the Russian Federation, but also from 30 countries abroad, including European nations, North America, the Middle East, and other regions of the world. Today, the world develops more harmoniously, particularly when knowledge and ideas are widely exchanged. We have received such proposals, including thanks to the Agency for Strategic Initiatives. We need to ensure that the entire country, from Kaliningrad to Vladivostok, takes pride in and uses products and technologies made in our country, in Russia. This involves, among other things, creating long-term demand for domestic products, establishing a comprehensive system to support innovation, and developing the ability to forecast the future. Understanding which skills are needed to achieve this has always been a key distinguishing feature of the Agency for Strategic Initiatives. Back in 2014, you presented the Atlas of Emerging Jobs, which included drone operators and specialists in gene editing. Today, these and many other skills are not merely in demand. They determine the country's overall competitiveness. I know that you plan to prepare a new edition of the Atlas covering the civilian and military competences of the future. This is, in its own way, a highly ambitious and innovative task. Such a forecast is intended to set the direction for the development of the entire personnel training system and, just as importantly, to take into account the combat experience of our soldiers and officers when developing military, civilian, and related technologies. It should also identify potential career paths for our frontline servicemen and women in the future, enabling them to fulfill their potential in civilian life. It is the duty of the state and society to ensure that every veteran of the special military operation can continue to serve their country, but this time in the economy, in public administration, and in the social sector. The Agency for Strategic Initiatives now employs participants in the Time of Heroes program who served as combat officers. I would like to wish them every success in their new endeavors. I am confident that they will serve as true role model for our and your like-minded colleagues, and will strengthen ASI's overall capabilities. I wish you all every success and productive work. This week, the Vatican's top diplomat and the CIA director happened to be in Moscow on the same day. What's going on? Can you tell us?
The Vatican's top diplomat and the CIA director were paying visits.
But what's behind these visits? What was the agenda?
In both cases, it was the desire of those who visited us to come and talk. Here, as elsewhere in the world, there are rules governing how the security services interact with one another. There is nothing unusual about this. Nor is there anything unusual about the fact that they carry out this work discreetly. I spoke with the Vatican's top diplomat. We had no secrets. We revealed practically everything at the press conference. Naturally, they expressed an interest in seeing the conflict in Ukraine brought to an end as soon as possible. In particular, they reaffirmed their willingness to assist in resolving humanitarian issues. Just as Melania Trump helped to resolve a number of issues that were brought to her attention by public organizations. What the West is currently pushing is to halt hostilities along the front line and establish a ceasefire rather than a lasting peace. They also loudly said that after this halt or end to hostilities, neither Ukraine nor the West, at least Europe, would recognize the Russian-controlled territory as part of the Russian Federation, including under the constitution. They even proudly state that a ceasefire must be declared, and only then should the 1991 borders be restored through peaceful efforts. Furthermore, stabilization forces will be deployed in the territory remaining under Zelensky's control, with Britain and France at the forefront of this extremely zealous initiative. In essence, these stabilization forces will preserve, perpetuate and protect this neo-Nazi regime, which is the only regime in the world to have legally banned an entire language and an entire religion. I asked the Vatican representative to what extent they take these very human rights, including religious rights, seriously. He said that this was not good. To be honest, I hope I'm not giving anything away. In response to my request, he promised to send a clear message on this matter in his future contacts with the Ukrainians.
On August 14th, we reportedly demanded that the Americans explain how they were helping the Ukrainians to launch attacks on our territory, and this was practically an ultimatum on our part.
No, there was no ultimatum on our part. We did raise a question, because there are occasional leaks in the Western press about how the Trump administration, which has declared the Ukrainian crisis to be Joe Biden's war, is assisting Ukraine with new financial allocations, weapons, intelligence, and so on. This has happened 3 or 4 times over the past couple of months. Whenever such information surfaces, we calmly pass it on to the US State Department via diplomatic channels and ask them to confirm whether it is true.
What was their reply?
We haven't received any yet. Britain's role is the most negative, as it has been for many centuries. This is certainly true in relation to Russia. But it is also true in relation to most of Britain's. I won't call them partners, let's say fellow travelers, because Britain has never had any permanent allies. The US is no exception.
Don't you think the British are currently outsmarting the Americans in Ukraine?
Zelensky outsmarts everyone there. You don't even need such cunning politicians as the British there. Look, Zelensky commands everyone. Admittedly, that's just his style. What's more, huge sums of money are disappearing in Ukraine, mostly through embezzlement, and corruption is rife. We must not give in to attempts, which Zelensky himself is actively encouraging with European support, to destabilize our society and sow fear through terrorist attacks on oil refineries, marketplaces and civilian infrastructure. Schools, children's centers, beaches, passenger buses, hospitals, a huge number of facilities that have absolutely nothing to do with the military. Meanwhile, the West is shamefully silent, as, regrettably, are the UN Secretary-General and the Commissioner for Human Rights. They have unequivocally and firmly sided with Ukraine. People are asking more and more often when we'll finish this, and why we can't do it sooner, since, as they say, we are stronger. We've never had anything like this in our history. During the Second World War, we had the US and Britain on our side, after all. Then, as we advanced victoriously, particularly across Europe, our ranks were bolstered by other countries that were already withdrawing their troops from under Hitler's control and placing them on our side. This time, however, many are calling it a world war. But the only soldiers in the trenches with us were those from the DPRK. Everyone else on the other side. Rubio's statement, which may have just slipped out, that the US is not a mediator but stands with Ukraine means that the collective West has a united front against us.
In essence, we now have 2 allies, the DPRK and Iran. Everyone is asking, how do we end up like this? How do we find ourselves in such a company?
What's wrong with their company?
Countries that were once regarded as pariah states around the world have become Russia's key allies. Many people are wondering why this has happened.
They were regarded as pariahs by those who fancied themselves the victors of the Cold War and proclaimed the end of history for ages to come. We operate based on what's best for the Armenian people. For centuries, their interests have been intertwined with ours. We have been together for a long time, standing in solidarity with one another, Russia has on more than one occasion helped the Armenian people and the Armenian leadership through difficult situations. These interests must, naturally, prevail. Now, the current authorities in Yerevan are guided by other objectives. They have declared their intention to move towards the European Union. Armenian Prime Minister Pashinyan said that when the time comes, he will make up his mind. What does this "when the time comes" mean? You passed a law to start Armenia's accession to the European Union. Just the other day, I read in the news that Pashinyan said that a referendum could be discussed once they had submitted their application to the European Union, once there had been a response to it, and once a roadmap for this accession had been drawn up. Then, according to him, there would be a referendum. In my view, this does not show much trust in Armenian voters or in the Armenian people. They need to have a clear choice. We have done everything on our part, all our positions and the benefits that Armenia enjoys from its membership in the Eurasian Economic Union, receiving our energy resources at prices 3 to 4 times cheaper than those in the European Union. I assume they have good economists there. Our deputy prime ministers are in regular contact. Anything that concerns the Armenians can be discussed, including the situation with the South Caucasus Railway, which is operated under concession by Russian Railways. We were surprised to hear that these issues. If such issues have arisen, tell your partner how you see the matter. Instead, they made a public statement claiming that it all belongs to them and that we owe them $2 billion. I understand that, in addition to assessments based on economic analysis, this stirs up strong emotions among our citizens.
Upgrade your news experience with the all-new HT app. Download now